Good afternoon, Andrew. How you doing today?
Good. How's it going?
I'm good. I'm good. It is busy times, as is every season getting ready for football. So it's exciting and fun and stressful and fun.
hmm
So
I mean, I've been a commissioner of a couple of leagues, and you know, it's like friends that are like next door to each other. I can only imagine what it's like coordinating all people all over the country, all over the world, everywhere else. So,
it's one of those things where it's like it is, not a secret. It is kind of dreadful as you're doing it. Last year we did 64, this year we're doing 40. It's not any easier at 40.
uh
But it like I said, it's fun, and by the time week one comes around, you forget it ever happened, forget about it enough that by the time next season comes around, you forgot how much that is, and then you kind of dive right back in. But it's all right. You just keep going, so it's
right.
all fun. And we've tried to up the fun this year. We're trying to really focus on making it worth everyone's while and having a good time. So
hmm
I think we're gonna have a good year. But
Great.
enough about us at Fantasy Turf War. What we'd like to do is we'd like to talk about all the businesses in the league, as we all are consisting of small businesses, nonprofits, brick and mortars, content creators, all that kind of stuff. Really focus in on you as an individual, and kind of hone in on what your origin story is. So if you can, for the audience at home, tell us about yourself and Loftside Banter, and how did you get your start?
So my name is Andrew Diamantopoulos, and it's a very long last name, I understand. But I run Loftside Creative Media, which is now the umbrella company for Loftside Banter podcast, and I have worked in hospitality, food and beverage all my life, and it was that's what I'm good at. And this past year, I'd gone to school for radio video broadcasting and done nothing with it. And, was working my normal 9 to 5, and I was like, man, I wish I could do something different. I wish I could do something I could enjoy. I truly believe in the fact that if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. And so one day I ordered equipment. I ordered a new desk. I got everything set up, and I just recorded a podcast. And I like talking sports. I like hearing opinions. I like hearing from people all over the country, all over the world, different opinions. And it was just fun for me to give mine. And, I have some people that are in my life that listen to every episode, and they're like, well, I don't agree with you with that. I'm like, that's fine. You don't have to, but that's my opinion. And, I grew up on sports radio here in Massachusetts, particularly Boston. And, we're passionate out here about everything good, bad, or indifferent sports wise. And, when I created the media company, the idea is to eventually have niche podcasts that everybody can find something that they like, whether it's book reviews, whether it's movie reviews, sports, gaming, anything else like that. And, I'm open to talking to people who want to do other projects and other podcasts about anything. And then eventually the company will branch out to do streaming with gaming and stuff like that. There'll be a different side. Um, we've talked about possibly doing card grading. We've talked
Hmm,
about doing a whole bunch of different stuff. And again, it's all kind of like on a board somewhere of like long-term goals and stuff like that. But right now the podcast is, I believe I have 42 official episodes, and I actually do
wow,
team previews for the new NFL season. So those are kind of like offshoots of episodes. So it's probably more around 50 right
cool.
now. But it's been a learning curve, and doing everything kind of myself, and really figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and then how to grow.
Yeah, and well, first and foremost, I want to congratulate you on your success of just getting past episode one.
hmm
And I think a lot of people get caught up in the what ifs and the technicalities and the planning and not the doing. And so,
hmm
you got out there, and you got through episode one. So congratulations on getting yourself out there and getting to it, and all of your successes through your 50-ish episodes.
hmm
So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
that's a huge accomplishment. Like I said, I've talked to several companies, several podcast content creators, and it's just or I'm sorry, aspiring content creators, and they just cannot get themselves to episode one.
hmm
So getting over that hurdle is huge. And like I said, you're going to learn some things along the way. You're going to figure out what works and doesn't work, and you just keep going. And
Hmm.
I think that's awesome. So, well, actually, I need to pause. I have not formally welcomed you to Fantasy Turf War, sir. Welcome to the league.
Oh, thank you for having me. As I mentioned just before we got on, I kind of found it and thought it was a great idea to reach other people that are kind of in that same process, no matter what their business is, and help each other out, talk to each other, and be able to do more than just have a friendly competition. It's more of networking and everything else, which I've struggled with early on, and I probably still struggle with now. So I thought it was a great idea, and I jumped at it.
Yeah, I like that, and I appreciate you saying that. One of the things that we've really started to notice throughout the interviews and the application process is a very similar story to what you just said. Is that a lot of people are doing this stuff, and it seems like it's a one player game, and it really doesn't have to be. So why not do this as a group? Because the things that people are learning in their world, in your world, might not be the
Hmm.
same. So cross paths, cross pollinate those lessons and learn, all together. And rising tide raises all ships, or
Right?
you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying. But yeah, it's something that seems to be like really apparent out there. Is like you don't have to do this alone. You don't have
Hmm.
to struggle on, get to episode one on your own. There are people that have obviously done it before, so ask them, how do they do it? What do they recommend? And maybe they'll be on your episode one kind of thing. So,
Hmm.
so you don't have to do it alone. And I really think that's what this year is going to focus on, is that networking, the collaboration, partnerships across the league. And like I said, it's gamified, business growth. And I
Hmm.
don't know of anybody else doing it that this way, so we're gonna keep doing it until it's not fun anymore.
Right. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So when it comes to your content, is it exclusively sports right now, or what are some of your show topics?
So I have exclusively sports show right now. Loftside Banter. Again, I'm sitting in a loft, and my wife came up with the play on words for offside, and it just kind of ran with that. And I've we've kind of created the next show, which will be something I don't think I've told anybody yet, but it's ridiculously together. So we do a book review podcast. We talk to authors and stuff like that, and it's something
Cool.
that her and I can do together. Read the same book. Now she's the one that speeds through every book. I'm the one that has to like jumpstart, so that way I get done when she gets done. But we read, we walked in the Barnes and Noble, picked the book of the month, and said, "Let's just go." I emailed the author, and like 2 days later, he's like, "Yeah, I'll be on, no problem."
Wow.
So yeah, that's probably the next thing that we'll probably do. Again, a different niche group that can have something to listen to, and then when maybe I can't do it, my wife can have her friends on or do one with them or something like that. So it was just something kind of different, but that's kind of the direction we're going for right now. Those two will probably be the main ones, and then I've worked with some semi-pro athletes that want to do women's sports and semi-pro and lower kind of content, so that way
Sure.
they get their love, they get everything else like that. So that's kind of something in the works right now.
Cool.
um, but that's kind of the direction we're going.
Very cool. I like it. I like that you're doing it together. And in kind of like didn't seem like you had any hesitation on episode one. You had no hesitation reaching out to an author, which is honestly, it's a barrier for a lot of people. It's that
Uh-huh.
and I was this way for a good long while, and up until we started Fantasy Turf Wars. Like I almost thought that there was like this imaginary wall that, like, oh, that's an
Hmm.
author. Like, just don't email them. That's like, don't do that kind of thing, or don't take those chances. And it's like, well, why not? Like, the worst they're
Right.
going to say is no.
Right.
Maybe a
I,
couple extra words in there sometimes, but they're going to say no at the worst case scenario. But
I heard there I had to learn that in my sales life, real life job, that the worst thing people can say is no. And then sometimes when they say no, you find out answers that help you get to that final sale or whatever it was. I think we bought the book, came home, I came upstairs, started working on an episode, and I was like, I'll just email the author or whatever. And she was downstairs. And then by the time I went down, went to bed, and went, by the way, we're having an interview with the author in like a week, so we got to read.
read the book. Nice. That's cool. And we have a couple authors in our league, both last year and this year. So we
Hmm.
might have some what do they call them? Leads there. So
Right.
leads.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool. And I love that you guys are doing it together because it's a good thing to share in the passion. So
Hmm. I figure if I'm gonna have a business, she's gotta get dragged in somewhere. So.
it's only right. Awesome. So let's see. You're on episode 42. Do you have anything coming up on the slate for this coming, next couple weeks, month?
Um, I just did the AFC East like team previews, so actually my notebook's right here with all my notes of all the teams. I liked how that kind of put up, but I also learned after the first four episodes maybe I should just do it by division. And
Okay.
so I'm gonna do the AFC North next. We'll do that. It'll still be a 20-minute, 30-minute kind of episode. Um, I talked to a woman named Marina Dickey who is a semi-professional women's football player, tackle football player. She
Cool.
does rugby, she does the men's semi-pro teams, and that's the person that wants to do a podcast for herself. So she's coming up next week to just talk about all the different things that she's done, how the seasons went, everything else. And then we're starting to talk to. We just did the season with the Massachusetts Pirates, which was the indoor football team up here in
Nice.
Massachusetts. Their season just ended. Um, and then it's really just kind of the basic news. I try to do national level with everything, and that's why I think the semi-pro kind of niche group does that, covers all that. But just I've been reaching out to teams trying to get some sort of credential to be able to talk to people. I've gotten some good responses. I've gotten responses that, hey, maybe in the future, whatever the case may be. But
The
as I
nicest
just said,
nose you've ever heard, right?
of course. So, for the Patriots and stuff like that, it was a friendly no, and then it was, oh, but I'm a season ticket holder, and then the attitude kind of
Mm.
tweaked a little bit, and maybe we can see what we can do. And again, that's more than I thought I would get, so I'm
Hey,
happy with that.
at least you got an answer. We tried to get media credentials at various different stadiums, and I didn't even get
Yeah,
responses on most of them. So
yeah. um I know we have the professional rugby team here in Massachusetts, almost the next town over, called the Free Jacks. That's something I've worked on a little bit for next season for them. Just trying to find any sort of lead that I can talk to somebody and I don't have to ramble about things, because I'll ramble and then have my own opinions and things, and then at least that there's a back and forth.
yeah.
and then and then the other podcast we have, what is it, the Fantasy Couriers? We've talked. You saw that kind of started the conversation, but we talked about doing an episode over the next couple of weeks.
I did see that. So I highly encourage it as it will be incentivized as soon as I get it done. So now,
Perfect.
one of the things that we're really working on this year is that cross-pollination of teams and really networking and building out the community. That's the intentional community is kind of the two words that we're using this year. So we're going to create a digital passport. I think I've shared a couple pictures of what it's going to look like. But the idea is to have you interact with every other team in the league and be incentivized to do so, and prizes and stuff at the end. So it's going to be fun. But I did see that connection start to be made, and Adam and the Couriers, they're great. They're great guys. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think you're gonna have fun, and I think you're gonna have fun with the whole league. But hopefully, right? If
Yeah.
not, call me. We'll figure out what's going on.
I mean, the only way I don't have fun is when I make the boneheaded moves
Yeah,
and
say if
dropping
it
somebody a week too early and stuff like
if
that.
it's
So,
roster related, oh man, I can't help you there, like cool. So one of the things I kind of keyed in on while you were talking is the length of your show. And so that's something I haven't really talked about with other interviews this year, and I think might be a good place to kind of deep dive for a second is you mentioned your shows are about 20, 30 minutes in length. Is that kind of true for all of them?
that's the team previews. The regular episodes are an hour,
Okay.
sometimes 50 minutes. If it just depends on if it's a slow sports time or whatever. One of the recent episodes I did was on the WNBA and the group and the growth that they're going to have, with the whole money issue and paying the players and stuff like that. And that one ran longer just because, again, I'm an opinionated person. I come with my facts, and then again, numbers speak part of the story. So some of them I think I do a special, I call it special, an episode called Coffee Conversations, which is just my friends and I just jumping on Zoom or wherever, and we just talk. And that's kind of the conversation goes where it needs to go, or doesn't, or gets off the rails, whatever it may be. And those generally run about an hour and a half. So
Very cool.
they average out to about an hour.
Okay. So I appreciate that with we kind of take a similar approach, right? Like it goes as long as it feels natural. There's no, hey, I gotta get to 60 minutes because,
Mm-hmm.
like look, if it goes 55, it goes 55, so I like that. Is there when it came to you deciding kind of where that threshold of like an hour-ish is, like was there any sort of methodology behind that, or was it just they just seem to kind of go that way and it just seems to be about an average?
Yeah, the first few were 40 minutes or so, and I felt like I rushed to get through stuff. And again, that's just the learning process of like what I touch on and then where I kind of go off the rails, like I mentioned. An hour seems pretty good of, I'm not taking somebody's whole day to listen. I'm getting information out to them, opinions out to them, and then, they can kind of figure out where they want to listen to, or if there's even just a section, I make it pretty clear at the beginning what I'm going to talk about in what order. So that way you can kind of go through. And then I started using Riverside to do video.
Okay.
And that is great. Even the free version, it gives you it as soon as you change topics, it'll mark it for you. So that way people can go to that time frame and stuff like that. But an hour seemed nice roundabout number to shoot for. Again, if it's shorter, it's shorter. The one thing I didn't want to do is just repeat myself 1,000 times. I still do, but I didn't want to. But that's kind of how I figured it out, or kind of figured where it felt the most natural.
Okay. I like that, and it's a very similar approach to what we do. It's like we're like, okay, I think last year I was like, oh, I just need 15 or 30 minutes of your time for the interview, and then the interviews go like an hour long, and I'm like, oh, they
Mm-hmm.
all seem to kind of go this way, which is good. Like I thought it was like more of a burden to like, hey, I need you for a full hour kind of thing versus, but it just seemed to always kind of go that way. So I like that you just kind of let it naturally take its course and then kind of see what felt right for you, right? If you
Yeah.
felt rushed at 40, then let it go. So I like, it's a sense of authenticity that's really important, right? So
Yeah, when I interviewed the Mass Pirates players and stuff like that, typically they gave me about 30 minutes. From the time that they were done with one meeting going into the next meeting, there was a 30-minute break, and I was very grateful for each one of them to pick up the phone and jump on a call. But it was all right if I can get 15 to 20 minutes out of that.
yeah,
All right, there's the 20 minutes that's added on to the 40 that I know I can do.
yeah.
So it kind of worked out that way. And then again, athletes are, you talk to them and they, hey, what's it like to do this or that? Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yep,
we
thank you.
gotta we gotta stretch this out a little bit, but
Yeah, I had
awesome.
a couple of those interviews before where it's like, uh-huh, cool, that's great. Yeah, thanks. Any other word?
Right.
So it's always fun. But all right, so this is obviously a fantasy football league, so let's talk shop a little bit here. Um, when it comes to fantasy football, what is your background? How many years have you been playing? And then I've got a very pressing question that I'll have to ask.
All right. I've played probably over 10 years, and I joined a league that I'm still in when I worked down in New Orleans. Now, most of the people, I worked for hotels and stuff like that, so I went where jobs were, and I worked in New Orleans for 3 years. It was an amazing experience. I actually love that area. I try to go back as much as possible. But all of us had worked at another hotel in Orlando at one point. So like this whole league was all people that knew each other,
Cool.
and we've done this. I think it's now 8 years of that, and it's we have a commissioner that is not tech savvy, so he's like, if you're gonna send me dues, either just mail it to me or whatever. And then he made his wife sign up for like Venmo so we could do it that way. And then, we have guys that are the constant traders, like even before the draft is done, hey, these guys are available. Like, it's to me, I've always resonated with those sports games, whether it's a PlayStation game or whatever, where you're kind of the GM and you
Yeah.
do the dynasty. And because I always thought, well, I could do that. And everybody says that. Even right now, going through, you know, training camps and stuff like that, you look at your team, you're like, oh, they look really good. Everybody says that. So everybody says it the same things at this time of the year, but I wanted to prove that I'm a competitive psychopath, so I have to beat everybody.
Oh, good. You're in good company.
Yeah, I just, I've always resonated with that. Looked at stuff ahead of time. Okay, I got a bye week for this person in 2 weeks. I got two people out. What do I got to do? I have notebooks somewhere around here that I tracked which moves, so that way when I went back, I could think about my reasoning. Again, it's all, I understand where most people look at it, it's all to make believe stuff. But to me, hey, I've always thought I could do this job, and this is kind of the way I can do it. There's no real way for me to just step in and be a GM of any team right now. So this is what I got to do. And, I've just always enjoyed it, especially with people that you're not just joining a random league where you don't know the people. And, so again, this was another great thing where, hey, I'm going to get to know these people. And it's going to be a little bit more than just this. Hey, my opponent next week, maybe we do an interview for the podcast.
Yeah.
And hey, what movies are you going to make? And see if they can at least give me some information so that way I know what to do.
I like it, and I think I told the league this early on. I was like, look at every matchup as an opportunity to collaborate and work with each other. It's like almost as a challenge. Like, see if you
Mm-hmm.
can check the box. So, yeah, it'll be fun. All right, so I have to ask the question. Unfortunately, I asked just about everybody. How many championships do you have under your belt?
In the New Orleans League, the one that I've been with consistently, I have, it's either two or three. I can't
Okay.
remember off the top of my head. The first year we did a draft at the Manning's next door to our hotel, and had the board and everything. It's the only time I've ever done that with the board and everything else. And because I was new, I had come in on the second year. I had to pick my keeper, one keeper, and it ended up being Steven Gostkowski, the kicker from the Patriots. And all the league, except for one person, was like, "Oh, let him pick again." One guy's like, "Nope, he should have picked better." Nope. And I said, "All right, just remember this when I win."
Yeah.
And I won that year. And then the
Nice.
commissioner banned kickers from the league.
Oh, come on. See, when the commission says stuff like that, that's
It was funny, and my team names have always been like I miss my kicker, or Kickers United, or whatever the case may be. I won. I didn't win last year. I won the year before, and then whatever year Damar Hamlin went through that,
oh, okay.
scary
This is
situation.
2020, 2021, something like that.
Yeah, I was. We were like tied going into the last week, and because they never made up the game,
Oh
the
yeah.
other guy didn't win, so I technically won. The guy that I gave him back his dues, and I said, completely out of your hands. Obviously, something vastly different, but
Yeah.
here's your money back from whatever. I wanted to get something out of it, so I won that year. I think it might be just two, but I've had a couple of third places and stuff like that. But I
Okay.
fortunately look like I know what I'm doing some of the time.
That's how it counts, right? It's like you
Right.
work the crowds. So
Yeah.
yeah, look, as long as you've won one, you know what success looks like, and then you just repeat it every year. So
Hmm.
so I think you're in good shape for our league, and it's kind of chaos. 40 teams, 10-team divisions, like it's just nuts. So you never know how it's
Yeah.
going to end up. But
Right.
and luckily there's multiple trophies and stuff along the way, so you don't necessarily have to win the whole thing. You'll still walk away with the trophy. So.
Right.
But if nothing else, you walk away with a world record this year. So everyone's got
That's
that.
true. Yeah.
Which
Again, I think it's really cool.
which
Yeah.
someone said yesterday was a participation trophy, and I was like, well, yeah, I guess it kind of is, huh?
Hey, it's what it is. I mean, you get written into world records and stuff like that. It doesn't matter where you are along the process. You're part of it. So.
Yep, I'm good with it at that point. So. But all right, so before we let you go, we have a little bit of a tradition here at Fantasy Turf War, and so we ask all teams the same two questions. You have no idea what I'm about to ask you. Luckily, you guys were determined via NASCAR, so you avoided all the civics and Twisted Tetris and Disney questions. So
Uh huh.
you got the easy two here. So, question number one: If you were a superhero, what would your superpower be?
This has always evolved throughout my life, and I think that's how life has to go anyway. You have
Makes
to evolve
sense.
as you go through. But I despise traffic. I have the worst road rage by myself. If somebody's in the car, I'm not bad. But going in and out of Boston is atrocious. And to go 15 miles, it's 2 hours. Like I just fly or teleport. Whatever travel I can do to be faster, I'd rather do that. The
See,
invisibility and stuff like that, maybe as a
yeah,
kid,
so,
but
yeah, right.
yeah,
So you had me at flying. I get that, especially as you grow older and gas and traffic and
yeah,
all that stuff. So I get that one. I gotta say, I don't know why, but teleporting is becoming a pet peeve of mine when people say it now. No idea why, because the practical me says you're gonna land yourself in a wall or a person one day, and it's just not gonna
probably.
end well. So I don't
I'll
know.
take I'll take flying. I like traveling, and I don't mind. I actually don't mind long drives as long as I'm constantly moving.
Yeah.
Um, so flying seems logical that I get to see cool areas along the way. I can, go as far down as I need to. I can go as high up as I need to, whatever. So flying is probably, yeah, again, the more practical. Yeah, and I'm clumsy, so I'd teleport into somebody. So
Yep. So it just doesn't make sense to me. I can't work it out in my head. So, but I have to take a 14 and a half hour flight here in a few days.
yeah,
And the idea of like being able to like just land when I want to take a break or grab a burger or something like that, like seems pretty cool. But
yeah,
can't do that on an airplane. So,
right.
well, I guess
You're
most.
you're in the window seat, and you're like, I really have to go to the bathroom. I don't want to bother these people. Now you can just land and be like, all right, good.
Well, I guess if you're flying, do you have to land to do that? You could
I guess
just
not. Yeah.
It's got to be someone's got to make that. Like it's got to be a
Right.
thing. So, all right. And question number two. You are a WWE wrestler. What is your walkout song?
Oh, I was not prepared for that one. There was a song. I think I saw it on TikTok the other day, and this is the only reason why it's popping into my head. Is the year that the Celtics won the championship with Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. Their song for introductions was 50 Cent, and I think Justin Timberlake is AO Technology. I think
Okay.
is the name of the song.
I think I know the song. Yeah.
I've always it's always kind of gotten the blood flowing. So I'll
All
go
right.
with
All
that
right.
for lack of having thought of that. But that was something I thought about the other day because I saw the clip of their introductions. Like I remember this, and still kind of got me like hyped a little bit. So I'll go with that.
All right, I like it. Look, we've gotten some weird answers. I got a really weird one last year. He just reconfirmed that it's still his walkout song this year, so it's good. I like it. I like it a lot. But Andrew, it has been a privilege to talk to you today. It's always fun getting to meet with newer teams and especially content creators because I like to pick your brains on like how you guys operate and see if I can better my own ways. So I think I learned a lot in terms of kind of just letting things go naturally and. I might have to go buy some books here and participate in your book club. So I like it. And please tell your wife that thank you for sharing your time today, and I'm excited to see where you guys grow with that. And I hope you're going to have many guests from Fantasy Turf War on your show as much as you're wanting to have.
Hmm.
And I wish you nothing but the best in the league, sir, and many successful podcasts.
I appreciate it, and thank you for everything that you do for the league. I mean, this doesn't it isn't a thing unless you're here. So no matter where you are in the world, how long your flights are, or how cold you are, we appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Until we meet again in the playoffs, hopefully, where can people find you?
So Loftside Banter is BANTR, so loftsideBANTR.com and Loftside Banter at gmail.com. My dog wants to be part of the show so bad. Um, those are the two ways to kind of get in touch with me. I'm on Podbean, so that way we can do video episodes now. YouTube, Loftside Banter, Apple, iHeartRadio, Spotify, everywhere you can find a podcast. I'm on there. And like I said, go check out the website, looking for sponsors, looking for everything else like that. So reach out and I'll be happy to have a conversation.
Sounds good, man. Well, we will talk again soon, I'm sure. And I think you're already starting to throw some rocks over with some other podcasts, so I'll be sure to check them out when those come out. I'm gonna get on and make sure he gets on that. So make sure
All
you're
right.
taken care of.
I appreciate it.
Awesome. It's great talking to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Bye.